we're live.
Welcome, everybody, to This Is Difficult, the podcast known far and wide for just talking about video games in such fascinating ways. I couldn't think of anything clever. So. Welcome to the video game-related podcast that is This Is Difficult. I'm your co-host, Lord Yeshua. It is Josh himself in the flesh. We bring many guests today. It is Paul's channel. That's where you got me son over there.
Hey.
And next to him, we have brother of Paul's son. We have Adam. Which is, what's your actual, what tag do you prefer? Is this the
Comics
one
and Coffee
Twitch?
is on.
That's the one you like.
Is on Twitch, yeah.
I don't know if you had one you cared about.
Comics and Coffee.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Like that. Do you stream actually?
I do. I've had to take a long time off of it because of Christmas and COVID. So.
Okay. I need to watch you stream. I feel like Star Fox would be amazing.
I got super sick. So.
Christmas and
Play
COVID.
Star Fox. Yep. And then we got another letdown. It's Zach. Wahoo over there. And we have our disembodied. I forgot the term we used to use.
He's a producer, Josh.
Curator. Producer. That's the word. Yes, yes. I was like curator.
God, is that you?
Is it God?
Yeah, I don't know if Shamali. I don't know if Shamali's live with the voice. He's definitely doing a review for us. Obviously, more than welcome to chime in anytime you like.
Hopefully, I'm live with the voice.
Okay,
there he is.
All
right.
Hopefully,
we bring the whole crew to you. This is us. I'll pass it off to Paul to get us started. We got a big one today. Let's sink our teeth in.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we're gonna continue with our series this week on the gaming generations. This will be the 5th gen, which we introduced, 3D to consoles. So I'm excited about that.
Minds are blown.
Oh yeah.
This is
it's a step in the right direction.
Boundaries are pushed
for the blowing of minds.
I don't know. This is the biggest leap I feel like in.
It is. I will say that. I'll agree with that.
I also think, though, as a result, that it is the generation with the largest growing pains.
Yeah,
that's true as well. Because it's basically now seeing fruition at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it started then, and now we're seeing Elden Ring. Exactly. That's what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna get way more in depth with that later. Yes. Before that, everyone just tell me how you've been. Josh, we can start with you. Tell me about your week. Tell me about what the games you've been playing.
Work. Yes, so much work. I've been very busy. I've been sketching out ideas for my game that I'm developing as well, which is a big one. All are invited to bring ideas to the table. Meander is in development as we speak.
Nice.
So it's pretty fun.
I would like to hear about that. We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, we should talk about that?
Yeah.
Right here and now?
No, not right here and now. You and I should
definitely talk about that. Me and Paul, or me and Colin, are both already had talked about me talking to you about this. And I'm like, I want to bring everyone in on it.
Yeah.
And then Colin was like, I don't know if he wants to work on something like this. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like he would love this.
He's wanting to get into
I've been wanting to
video
game
industry,
for years now.
And
I have like a billion ideas.
Dude, yes, bring it all.
Right,
I'm literally trying to make. I have one idea at least at first for the side-scrolling platformer adventure, and I have everything written out as far as schematics. I just got to draw the level and then start coding basically.
Awesome,
sweet,
and get a Kickstarter going or whatever. Or take out a fucking loan. I don't even know. But it's one of those 1 to 5 year plans. I just really want to get it done because I feel like it's something that I can't believe I hadn't done. So everyone's invited.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And what games did we play? Me and Colin have been playing Banjo-Kazooie, and
nice.
He may convince me to play tonight. If he shows up, that's pretty much it. He hasn't showed up in a while.
Are you guys going to stream?
No, I don't think so. But I'm just so I'm streaming, but not on it. But I just really love streaming Donkey Kong right now, and I feel like I needed a break after that last record.
Dude, watching that is so fun.
That was so. Wait, did I have a better one? Oh yeah, I had a sloppy one, and then I did it again. That's right.
Yeah.
Adam watched the really sloppy one.
You hit that time though. It was really good.
Yeah, but it was oof. But then the next one was 153, and that was the creme de la creme, and I submitted that video. And then that's pretty much it. I've been working my ass off, so it's pretty cool.
That's exciting, man.
Brendan really not planning on streaming a game until Kirby, a new game.
Kirby
really
looks dope.
Looking forward to Kirby. Yeah, it looks super fucking
Kirby's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
It's got the Nintendo feel. I can feel that. I already know it's gonna be
from
good.
the just tiny bit we've seen.
Exactly.
We know.
Yeah.
We know. And that's why Pokemon Arceus is kind of questionable for me. I'm just like,
It doesn't-
show the people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I'm not saying I won't play it ever or anything, but like my mind isn't immediately like, that's that Nintendo flair. Like, damn, I need that. Like,
Well, I almost
Yeah,
don't consider Pokemon games first party Nintendo.
I kind of agree with that actually.
really because
interesting concept,
because there's
Yeah,
such
but
a separate
first-party is-
studio thing.
I always felt like Nintendo was like pretty umbrella company on them, but I never really know how much they have influence wise. Like,
Well, here's the
Shigeru
thing.
Miyamoto pop in and say Pikachu needs to be like this.
No,
Or just-
and
need
that's
to
the
make
whole
it
thing.
fatter.
Is I think
Sexy-
they were
sexier
so
Pikachu.
successful from the jump that Nintendo was like, "We want you, just do your thing," and I
Okay.
think that's actually kind of been to the detriment of them because I think Game Freak is a weak studio.
they need.
I think they caught
Shigeru
lightning in a
Miyamoto's
bottle, but
touch.
I think they're weak developers.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What happens to Nintendo when people like Shigeru Miyamoto don't exist anymore and stuff like that?
I
Like, do
don't
these
know.
companies fall to the wayside when their creative
Yeah.
minds?
Would you
Don't
stop?
speak
Like,
that evil.
I
into
know,
your
I
mouth.
know, I know. I would
in the
never
middle of
bring
a
sorry,
global crisis. We've already lost Betty White
You're right.
and
Anyway, it was 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
Meatloaf
Yeah.
is gone too.
Meatloaf. That's a loss.
Meatloaf was a loss.
That's a loss.
Yeah.
And so is Danny Tanner. Yeah.
All of them are losses.
a big
yeah.
loss.
But I would say
Yeah.
Shigeru Miyamoto would like make me fall to my knees. That would be like a bad one.
Yeah.
So Stan Lee hurt. That was a bad one. Yeah.
Yes,
That was years ago.
Stan
though.
Lee, Robin
It's just
Williams, and
crazy.
George Carlin are the three that got me the most.
Robin
Shigeru
Williams
Miyamoto
was
would
the
be
big-
up there.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest for me.
I had to
think.
take like a week off of work for Stanley.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Zach, what about you, man? How was your week?
It was pretty solid. Just fairly run of the mill week. Actually got a couple of rest hours here and there, which meant that I got to finish the main story for Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. We're
Nice.
doing that very soon.
Nice.
With DLC
Very
stuff
good.
now, and moving on to Miles Morales. I think I'm going to try and
Okay.
review that all as one package though, because
That's the one everyone says is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very good. I want to compare it on the same barometer to the Batman Arkham games because it is a very similar game in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go back and actually rewatch my reviews on those to kind of get my head in the right space. But and then beyond that, I also, because Josh told me to, played Deltarune. I am through chapter 1.
You did
and
it?
I did it, and it's
What do you
very
think?
fun. I'm
It's
loving it.
fun, right? I haven't beaten chapter 2 yet, but I'm
I
almost at
haven't-
the end.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't. I haven't.
really
Finished,
good.
I just started chapter 2 this morning.
I'm a
And-
little hesitant to beat it because it's like not all there.
Exactly.
There's supposed to be 5 chapters, so I
Yeah.
thought there was supposed to be 3, and I was like, okay, I can wait for one more. And then I looked it up. There's 5.
Right.
They're all gonna be free. So it's like
Right.
maybe it's kind of like episodic. I kind of like that though, having an episodic game. So
Yeah,
that
I
could
don't know.
be
I
cool,
can't
like,
stand
play it.
releases like that though. Like when they
It's rare when
segment
they
them
do
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
They
for
used to
one
do it
game to be done
more.
like that.
Like in like the early aughts, there was a few takes at that they did. They did like the point and click adventures, like Sam and Max, Monkey Island. They did an episodic. And yeah, I hated that release mode.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
story episodes are hard like that. It's just 'cause
That's
you're like,
kind of
what?
why I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I finish this, maybe I don't. Chapter 2, maybe I finish this, maybe I don't. Just because I don't want to forget what's happened.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
like
I
a-
almost want to replay all of it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it
Chapter
comes
1
out.
didn't take very long. It was like an hour. and a
Telltale
half, maybe.
did that too.
Yeah. I'm like really milking it and reading everything. And I'm like almost at the end of
Right.
chapter 2, and I'm at like 6 hours, I think. So it's
Mm.
really short. All of Undertale was 10 hours. So I was like, yeah, all
Right.
of Deltarune's probably 10 to 20 hours.
But it's such a unique thing to get into a combat situation, like a very stereotypical
Very
tactics-based
amazing.
combat situation. And you just be like, no, I'm not hitting the fight button. I'm hitting the act button every single
Yeah.
time.
Did you play the
Played with them.
Undertale, his previous game?
I did.
So I've seen it played. I have not played it myself.
It's a masterpiece. Paul hates it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Honestly, I think
fuck?
I think it's
You have to
I-
read
I
between
haven't
the
played
lines
it.
on it.
no. I
The game is-
understand it. I don't. I'm not like, what is this?
Come on,
nonsense.
don't you get it?
What?
I
No,
think,
I
Not
just-
cool enough.
I
I
think
just-
Undertale's good. I think it's overrated though.
Yeah,
I would maybe agree that it's possibly overrated, but I think that what it like, it's almost like
Well-
this guy is like a very nerdy guy with all these nerdy like like quotes and like references, and he's just like showing us, and we're like, oh my god, that's from Zelda. That's funny.
Right.
Or we're like,
Well,
oh my god, if it in normal RPG it would have been like that. That's so funny that you did it like that instead. He's
Yeah,
just,
so like
messing with us.
there's some of that that's fun, and like I didn't hate, but like I was expecting it to be more of a traditional RPG, and it's actually a bullet hell. And I don't really like bullet hells.
I will say that
So-
Deltarune is much more like a traditional RPG, although it still holds some of that Undertale combat system, not nearly as much as Undertale.
No, yeah.
Undertale, he's literally been quoted as saying it's a bullet hell,
Yeah.
like with an RPG story, which
Yeah.
is awesome. I think. Actually,
Well, I mean,
love
that's
bullet
fine. I just don't really like bullet hells. Like,
Yeah,
Am I
don't-
sick that
That's
I
exactly
like
why I
that?
didn't play Undertale.
Yeah.
I've seen it played. I've watched the whole thing, but I was like, I don't.
Very easy. It's an easy game. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you really don't like bullet hell, it's the easiest fucking one. You really
Sure.
beat it very easily.
I also am kind of iffy on the art, but I have very strong art opinions in general, and I'm not gonna.
Okay. We'll need you on the
Yeah.
team for that.
Anything else, Zach?
That's kinda what I
Any
do.
other exciting stuff from this week, my guy?
No, I mean, I had to make. I'm trying to make some decisions in terms of like, do I get DBZ, the new DBZ game that you've been playing, Paul? Do I pick up Pokemon? Do I? I'm pretty much absolutely sold on Kirby.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100% paid for Kirby. In
When
my
is
mind.
when is Kirby?
March 25th?
Yeah.
Okay, it's coming
It's
up.
really long.
That's
You have to
good.
fucking
I will be done
suffer
with my
for February.
work by then.
Dude,
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Elden Ring, bro.
Can we just?
Well, that's-
Elden Ring is still
It's
February.
it's late February. Yeah.
25th as well, I think. Actually,
But like,
February.
so that's really where I'm at right now. Is just trying to budget for video games this year, between time and money and the whole 9 yards. So I'm just kind of playing through what I've got.
Yeah.
Enjoying.
If we don't get a direct, I'm gonna poop. Like, are you kidding me? If we don't get a Nintendo Direct, we don't have any other Nintendo
We're just gonna
games.
poop right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna poop right on the floor.
I'm saying it right now.
Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Shit,
I think February is when we hear from Nintendo for sure.
that's their month usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. They usually have a big plot.
They
Yeah.
also do stuff
And
from
then they have a big announcement earlier.
Pooping everywhere today.
We're gonna get some kind
Oh,
of
boy.
Paper Mario type announcement. I feel like some kind of not
very
high
different
friend.
than that.
Like that's when we get the announcements. Like so they're gonna drop some weird shit in June, July.
When is it? March 10th? March 10th is Mario Day, I think.
Mario
Yeah,
Day?
that
Yeah.
sounds
Oh yeah,
right.
because he sells them out.
MARIO.
Yeah.
I realize
One
Nintendo's
zero.
also working on their theme park and like a lot of other auxiliary things like the movie. And I wonder if they're draining resources into these things and like not giving us actual quality games as much because of that. Like we're getting Kirby is like the 1 in 5 months. I hate to say like the one game that looks like Nintendo like caliber. There's only one of these in like a half a year basically. And
I
that's
don't
Red
know
was
if-
the last one.
I don't know exactly how their corporation is set up, but I don't think that they would entangle those resources together. I have to imagine that their budgeting is completely different.
I've said it
Their
before,
company, they know
but
how
I
to do
think
that.
I think that Nintendo is holding their cards close to their chest because they want to do their next generation, but they can't right now because of the chip shortage. So
Yeah, that is super true. Also, they probably have like 5 things they could just like announce and be like, "Yo, this is happening."
Didn't someone just say that they view it as being in the middle of this generation though?
yeah,
Like-
and
so
that's just Nintendo corporate speak though.
Okay, well I didn't
Or-
know if that was like
Yeah,
a
they said it
leak
to
or
some
a,
investors on a call.
Oh,
So
okay.
apparently it was
So,
important.
The
But
other thing with Nintendo is that they don't like to step on their own releases.
Yeah.
You have Kirby coming out, Pokemon just
True.
came out, and
they
then
don't.
like,
That's true.
Zelda's coming
Zelda.
out later. Or supposedly.
We don't know if it's
I
coming this
honestly
year.
am at peace with that maybe not coming out
Yeah.
for like 2 years, 3 maybe. Like truly. Especially if
Depending
we
on-
really want to stretch out the Switch's life.
depending on what they do with that, I might not get it, honestly. But yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna play it either way. I have to.
I'm really
Inject it into my
torn.
veins.
Me too. I'm gonna buy
like-
it day one. I know
I'm
it just because it's
100%.
Zelda,
I'm gonna stream
and
that
I'm gonna hate
probably.
myself for it
Stupid.
because
I'm gonna do it too.
It might be
Yeah.
amazing. And if I'm being
I'm
honest,
also gonna hate
I'll just-
myself.
I'll just forget that it's a Zelda game if it's like that again, and I'll just be like, okay, it's playing Skyrim.
I just want a dungeon in it. I want a real dungeon in it. Like
All I want is a hook shot.
Yeah.
I want to open a chest and find an item in there that I can use on the boss. Come
Yeah.
on.
right.
It's like
Mhm.
such simple things.
Yeah.
Like there's such simple things that make a Zelda game that they just nailed, and they're like straying. They're like they're around the bullseye still, but like
Yeah.
they need a toilet bowl it back in to the
Yeah.
middle.
Chamali, do you want to share anything, or as far as like your week? Did you play any games this week?
So I've been playing Last Epic. It's in it's like a Diablo game on Steam. I think it's in like pre-access or something like that.
I just realized we should have done you last, but continue.
Well, I mean, I could stop right there.
Stop right there. We'll come back to you. Adam, what about you?
You can finish.
You play anything? No, because he's doing the review.
Oh,
I
that's
usually
right.
like
Yeah,
to-
I keep pixelating.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
on my-
I have been playing the game that he's going to review a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nobody Saves the World, which is I
guess we
I
could have
really enjoy
continued
it.
with Chamali then.
I like the name of that game.
Yeah.
That's
Other
all
than that, man, I've been working my ass off. So,
Yeah, I feel
Um,
that.
but I'm
Nice.
close. I'm close to the end of this thing that I'm working on. So
That's
Sick.
awesome. You always say that, and then
I was
the next
really
thing.
close.
yeah,
And then I got super sick with the COVID,
yeah.
and
Beds.
I had to breathe through a tube. I didn't have to breathe through the tube, but it gave me oxygen. It was actually extra oxygen.
That's rough.
It was really bad, but it also, like, the worst part of it, honestly, is that it took 2 weeks of time for me,
Yeah.
yeah,
and that, like, I'm still recovering from that. And so, like, it actually probably took more than that, because it's like once you stop work, you then have to ramp back up.
oh yeah. That's
So
why I
it's
hate
like-
taking vacations. I know
Yeah.
that sounds stupid.
I know, I'm the same way though.
Yeah.
It's like if I can, even if I take a weekend off, I still have to ramp back up on Monday. So
Yeah,
it's
one
like,
day of nothing is like, you're fucked.
yeah, it's tough.
Try taking an entire summer off. Off.
Yeah,
Heavy
yeah.
air. I'm never actually off.
Oh
It's
my
your
gosh.
whole agenda for
I
the
would
whole, or whatever they
never
call it.
go back to work.
Yeah.
Future plan for the
If
whole
I took a summer off, I'm not going back.
I know, right?
Dude,
That's-
that's
That's
exactly
insane.
why I went
3 months.
before.
Dude, I was
It's
in
like-
Florida for a week and I didn't want to ever work again. Like, I was just like, man, why can't we just stay here?
I tell you what though, like, so COVID was actually kind of a blessing in a lot of ways, because it got me to stop.
Killed everyone. I mean,
oh, Jesus.
Oh, Josh.
Jesus Christ.
It got me to
As
stop
is
for a minute,
timestamp
and like
that.
I have a major problem making myself stop and rest.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I'm good at. And so like I stopped, and now like I'm better at balancing my time with my family versus my work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm
That's good.
here. I have work to do
There you go.
right now,
That's
but I'm
true. He's here.
I'm here on the show.
I've
so,
been
Slow
trying
the
to get him to
train
come
down.
back to the podcast forever.
yeah, maybe.
can't dump too much
So-
coal on the fire.
Yeah.
knows?
Me, I
yes.
have been playing. I'm still continuing my Okami series on Samurai Saturday. Really enjoying that game. It is a Zelda game. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely
It's
Zelda.
a Zelda game.
Yes.
dude.
Ganon
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
main bad guy.
Yeah. Well, I just fought like this big like fiery
Eyeball
ox
monster?
thing, and it
Okay.
was very Ganon-esque, and I was like,
Yeah.
yo, this is
Yeah.
this is Zelda.
Oh, it's
This is
definitely a
Zelda.
Zelda game.
That
That was
but,
the
And
that
it's
was
even the wolf, dude. When
Yeah.
did that game come out?
it came out right before Twilight Princess,
Princess.
like a month
Dude,
or
they
two.
probably like scanned.
Well,
their
that was
development,
also-
'cause that game is in development for like 3 or 4 years.
God of War
Twilight
came out
Princess.
like slightly before that too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And like
God of War 3. That's my favorite God of War.
no, it was I think God of War
I
1.
think the first one.
It's my third favorite God of War.
But
This
yeah,
is
it
my
was
least.
it was an era that there were a lot of people making knockoff Zeldas.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah. There were a lot of interesting ones.
So I've
Actually,
been
don't
playing
mind.
that, and yeah, I don't mind it either. It's actually kind of
Yeah.
refreshing to
More
play
games.
a game like that that is outside of the Zelda universe.
Yeah,
See,
I mean,
that's,
that's
where
what I
Breath of
really
the
like
Wild
about
should
the-
have been.
Yeah.
that's what I really like about the
Let's not do
Darksiders
this again,
franchise.
Josh.
Also, is they're just Zelda
Yes.
games with
Yeah.
Joe Madart.
Yeah. Exactly.
So and then I've also been playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I started
Ooh,
that. I have not the greatest first impression of that game. I'm hoping it gets better. It just is really closed feeling for an RPG in the beginning of it, and I hope it opens up more. I get the feeling that it's like trying to do every episode of Dragon Ball Z though, which is
Oh, boy.
weird because it doesn't really give you time or freedom to do extra stuff. I mean, you can, but like you don't really feel the freedom to do that, and it just
The
Maybe it
annoying
gets
part to
there.
me about
Maybe it
it,
gets
and
there.
like I've just watched you,
yeah.
but the annoying part to me about it is that it focuses so strongly on Goku. Like that there's so much
Well,
else going on.
I mean, I'm
in the
only.
show.
I,
It's
in the name,
yeah,
Adam.
yeah.
No, I
Well, it's
understand
in
that,
the name,
but, like,
but so
everything focuses
to
on
be
him anyway.
fair, though, I'm literally
It's true, he's
only. I've only
80%
gotten
of the
to
show.
where Gohan is being trained by Piccolo, and I'm playing as Gohan now. So, like, I honestly do think it's trying to just recreate episodes of the show. So, which is kind of strange to me. Like, I brought it up on my stream. There's a game that never released in the US. It's called Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu,
Yeah, we
which
talked about
means
that
Legend of the Super Saiyan. And
It's excellent.
it's fucking excellent.
Yeah.
It's a really good 16-bit RPG.
I would say it's my
on the
favorite
Super
Dragon Ball
Famicom.
game ever.
I'm gonna get
Budokai
a.
Tenkaichi 3.
I have Tenkaichi 3 right here.
That game is worth like $200 right now. You know.
Oh no, this is
It's 2, isn't it?
Butuden.
What?
This is
Oh.
Butuden 3. Sorry.
How the hell do you have that? That's insane.
But my friend brought it. I've got Butuden 1, 2, and 3 for the Super Famicom. He
That's
brought them back from
nuts.
Japan.
That's insane.
But yeah, they're good games. But I'm gonna get a repro cartridge of Super Saiyan Densetsu translated, and I think I'm gonna play that on stream.
like
at
a
I
some
don't like
Hyper
repros. I don't
too.
trust that shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my best
Melts your
option
core.
for playing it.
Spend $300. It's fine.
That's not a good option.
I'd rather spend $300.
Well, here's the
on
thing: you
Earthbound
can't get
than
an English
$10
version
for
of
free.
it.
There's
Like
no-
I'd have
yeah,
to play
there's
it
no
in
English
Japanese. Yeah, so like otherwise, yeah, that's why I got to do it.
Emulator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I could do that. I want to play it on
You get translated.
real hardware though.
the thing I mentioned this on his
Even though it's
stream
fake hardware.
also, like in the chat. But the thing that I really like about it is that depending on how well you do at the battles, you can actually alter the story.
Yeah.
So like when you're fighting Nappa and you have like the full set of guys, if you beat Nappa without them dying, they don't die. The only one that will die is Piccolo, because he has to die for the story. So you can go to Namek with Yamcha and Tien and
Yeah.
Chaozu.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and like my first time through, Krillin died, but Tien did not. He was like the one that survived.
Yeah.
So I was there with Gohan and Tien instead of Gohan and Krillin.
Yeah.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah,
Cool.
But then they all end up dying by Frieza, right?
Tien's the
yeah.
man.
That's
Yeah, man,
well.
yeah.
I mean, but you actually
it
use them
ends-
until the end.
ends at Frieza, like with Goku going Super Saiyan and defeating Frieza.
Right.
That's
So
what it
like
ends.
you up until the end though, you're using everybody still against even up to Frieza, but then like you have a battle after that you fight as Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza. Yeah.
But the other thing, I haven't played it yet, but Adam brought this over today, is Pokemon
Yes.
Arceus. So we're gonna start a playthrough of that. I'm
Legends.
gonna try and figure out when I can stream it, what slot to put that in. But
The
I'm
important
excited about
distinction here is the word Legends implies this is a new series of
Yeah.
Pokemon. So
Mhm.
this is the first installment, Pokemon Legends,
I'm-
which is not a top-down RPG.
I am really
It is a
pro
3D adventure.
Pokemon in other eras than the
that.
modern
Me too.
era.
I'm very excited about this.
My favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Conquest.
Yeah, I want to play that on stream too.
Conquest is really good, dude. I haven't
That's a
heard
good
that
Samurai
in so
Saturday
long.
game.
That's a
That,
really
that
good
I
one.
could do for Samurai
Yeah.
Saturday. I
Yeah.
legit could do that one for
That's the
Samurai
first
Saturday.
one that I thought was like an open game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the first like console Pokemon, kinda. But like, are you talking about the one for the GameCube, right?
No,
No,
no, no.
Oh,
Po-
fuck.
Pokemon Conquest is for DS.
Yeah, it's for DS. It's
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
strategy
never mind.
RPG.
Yeah,
I think it's
it's
something else.
It
It's-
takes place during the Sengoku period with
Right,
like
so, like,
Nobunaga's
Oh,
and
that's
no,
sick.
Nobunaga has a
Yeah.
has a what you call
Black Rayquaza.
Black Rayquaza, right?
That's
Yeah.
sick as fuck.
It's
It
so
is
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Anyway, Mike, finish telling us about your week, and then we'll hop into the chat.
Okay, as I was saying, Last Epic, it's in early access. That's just like a Diablo-like. But it's kind of cool because each skill you get has its own like skill tree, so you can kind of like make your guy really cool and like mix and match skills, which we'll get into another game that does mix and matching skills really well in a sec.
Excellent.
Paper Mario.
And
Oh my god.
I played a
Not
little
sure
bit
it's
of
a parody of yourself.
but
What was that? What was that, Jamal? I didn't catch that.
a little bit of Dead Cells. I got back.
Oh
in.
shit.
That's a great game.
That's one I like dropping into every now and then.
That's a great game to just drop
yeah,
into. Yeah.
just do a run. And like I haven't played this in 2 months, and then just do one.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
and that's how I feel. Like it's easy. You can jump in and drop in and jump out, and it's like and that's what I needed at the time. So
Yeah,
I
Cool.
was doing that for a little bit. And then the last one is Nobody Saves the World.
Oh wow.
Sweet.
Segue. I
Segue.
smell
Let's
one.
hop into the review. I'm going to switch over the screen. Hey, Blink, can we get a sound check real quick? Everyone just, one at a time. Mike's or Chamali's the most important person.
Hold
so
on to your butts.
Go ahead and talk real quick, Chamali. We'll make sure that sound's working for you.
Testing 1, 2. Hello.
Test.
Yeah,
Zach,
yeah.
you go ahead and say something too real quick. Just want to make sure
Word.
everyone's sound is working.
Making noises. Loud noises. Not
Okay.
loud noises.
Looks like we're good. All right, so Chamali, take it away. Tell us what you're reviewing.
Cool. So this is Nobody Saves the World. It's developed by Drinkbox Studios. It just came out actually like 2 weeks ago, January 18th. Played it on PC Game Pass. It's on there for free. It's also on Xbox Game Pass. It's also available on Steam and the Xbox. Nobody Saves the World is if you ever played the games Guacamelee,
Oh yes,
same developer.
great game.
Oh, excellent.
Metroidvanias. So
That's cool. It's been a while for them. I feel like since they had a hit.
yeah, no, this game's actually really fun. It's people compared it to Zelda games. I don't see it as
I
much.
love those.
I don't have that feeling as much, but it has that. I guess
Okay.
it's more of just like an overall like the top down action-y feeling, and it's constantly rewarding you.
I might call it like a fusion of a Zelda and a Diablo.
Looks like Four Swords a little.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the game is constantly rewarding you, which is awesome. You're always getting that rush of like what is it called?
Yeah,
Dopamine?
dopamine, yeah.
Dopamine, yeah. Because as you see in here, like you have a whole bunch of different forms. You start off with a couple, and then you start unlocking them, and you get all these abilities, and you can level everything up. Each class or form is like feels like completely different, which is awesome. Like I'm going around as the ghost here, and it's just like the ghost is kind of like you don't do anything. He just sits there and you have to hit everything with that like circle because he's a ghost.
You're just haunting everyone.
Yeah, you're haunting everyone, and like he scares people away from him. And each form feels really different, and there are like you can go up. There's two trees. You can go up to the left and to the right, and like I went up the left right away because I was like, I don't care about these on the right. But then I ended up playing them, and I'm like, oh man, these are actually really fun. Everything is really fun in the game, which is awesome. So and then later on, you get to mix and match your forms basically. So each form has one or two special abilities that you can like transfer to other forms. Your basic attack is how you generate mana. So the haunt that's how it gets the mana up, and then every other ability basically uses the mana. Then you have passives that also you can add to your basically stats. So everything's just constantly like in a giant feedback loop. And later on, you get like skills that you're supposed to like requests that you're supposed to figure it out. Like they're like, okay, as the ghost, go use the ranger's ability, this ability from the ranger, and then you use it, and it's like, oh, that's because it actually like syncs together, and it shows you how everything is supposed to work together, type of thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Very crazy.
I really enjoyed this game. What didn't I like?
It's always hard when you really enjoy a game to isolate what you didn't like about
I'm
it.
really early in this game still. One of the things I really do like is that every form has their own quests. So you have like your regular quests that you have to do for the story, but then every time you switch to a different form, it has form specific quests. So it's like use this ability this many times. Use like, and so it teaches you really well how to use each form.
Yeah, and each form levels up separately. So that's how you also unlock new forms, is by leveling up the previous form, which is really cool.
Nice.
But that bought me time to think of what I didn't like. What I don't like is that a lot of these, like the temples or these areas, kind of feel very. It's just going through basically dungeon and killing stuff. There's not a lot of variety in the temples, essentially, or the dungeons. But it's not a bad thing. Like, it might sound bad, but it's like Diablo. Like, when you're playing Diablo, you don't hate, like, oh, well, now I have to go into this next zone and kill all these enemies. It's
right.
kind
It's fun to. It's actually fun to kill the enemies. So it's like,
yeah.
You don't
and then
hate
you're
it.
like switching forms. Like in this one right now, like you'll notice that some of them have that purple moon above their heads, or the green sword. It's basically like you have to hit them with that ability, that type of ability, before they can take damage from anything else.
Oh, okay, cool.
Break
so
their
like
shield, yeah.
breaking the shield with that element.
Yeah, and there's 4 elements. There's
like
slashing, blunt, dark,
Destiny.
Yeah.
Blunts.
and light. Yeah,
That's
2
mine.
physical, 2 magic.
Cool.
So, but yeah, that's what I didn't like. The story, honestly, it was kind of like in the background for me. I didn't really pay that much attention to it. It's not like horrible, not the greatest story, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't super engaged by the story. I was more engaged by like the gameplay and how fun the game was. And
Sure.
how
That's good.
Well, and also just like Guacamelee, it's pretty funny. It's like it's written really light. It's got like a light feel to it, and like a lot of jokes.
Yes, it definitely
Cool.
has a lot of jokes, and it's
Like
Well,
Paper
I-
Mario.
I love Paper Mario.
I
Paper
played
jokes.
this game. I beat this game in about 13 hours total.
That's solid.
I got every form. I almost maxed out every form. I got all of the hidden, like there's mana fairies basically, and that's how you increase your max mana. I collected all those, so I basically did almost everything you can possibly do in this game, and I loved it. And when I went back today and I captured this footage, I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. Maybe I should play this some more. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're switching to a bunch of forms right now that are really cool. There's like that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool forms, and they do a lot of really fun things like the skills and stuff. And when you start engaging with them and stuff, it's really cool. So yeah, I touched on gameplay. I loved it. The art, as you can see, I really like the art in the game. It's,
Me too.
So you can switch forms on the fly using a hotkey. That's important.
Yeah, the shoulder will brings up a
Okay.
wheel.
Can you hold all of them, or do you put your favorites on there?
I think you have to put your favorite. There's only 8 slots, I think.
That's fun though. You probably only want like that many at a time.
Yeah, you don't need all of them at once.
I don't know if you can actually select which ones go on that. It's just a matter of going in and hitting whatever last one, and it constantly just updates based on whatever you had last.
Right,
Oh,
and you
cool,
can pause
actually.
and switch it too.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So like, especially if you're like, oh crap, there's a ton of enemies. I need to pause and think about what I'm doing anyway. So
Yeah.
like yeah.
Awesome.
That's dope.
The sound and the music, it was really fun. It didn't detract from the game, as some do. But I wouldn't say it was super noticeable in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
That's not always a bad thing.
no, it's not. It doesn't take back from the game at all.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about that more and more lately. It's like if the music is or music and sound effects are uninvasive, it's a giant positive.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
It depends on the
Yeah.
game. Really depends.
Yeah,
well,
if you're playing an RPG, if you're playing an RPG, you have to have a good soundtrack, or because you're going to be listening to it for 30 hours.
Yeah.
So like,
But at the same time, you don't want it to get stuck in your head.
Some do. I don't know. I could get some Final Fantasy
Yeah.
songs stuck in my head.
I
you
will
know?
have Nobuo Uematsu
Zelda,
or
come
Yoshinori. What's his name?
Koji Kondo.
Yeah, Koji Kondo, David
He's
Wise.
amazing.
Like those
David
are.
Wise.
That's all
injected
stuff
into my
that's like.
veins.
that I'm happy to have stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
okay, that's what I mean. Like you don't want to get irritatedly stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
True. Nintendo gets away with a lot of that shit, actually. Now I'm thinking about like horn honking and like boink, crazy exploding things and like
Yeah.
wild shit that doesn't annoy you somehow.
Yeah. That's true.
Really off the wall, like circus shit.
Yeah. I mean, even like Mario 1 has like your jump sound is like boing, over and over. And like it's not annoying. It's
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all awesome.
Yeah, no, the sound is it's okay. Like
It's not bad.
so.
I like this turtle form.
Yeah, the turtle's actually really fun. If you see me, I'll go into the menus from here because I'm kind of like trying to cut down a lot of the quests. So like
He's like Squirtle in Smash Bros. Damn.
maxed out that quest, leveled up the form. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm gonna check out the other unique quests for this and try to figure out what I'm trying to do. Because that's what I'm doing here now.
yeah, and I do like also that like you can go and pause and look at your quest, but also you don't have to go to the menu. You can just hit the left bumper, like you see right there, and it slides them out in a pane. So you can just read them there. So you don't have to like stop what you're doing to check your quest.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, because there's a lot of chaos going on.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
this dungeon was actually really hard the first time I went through it, but so I'm maxed out. I've already beaten the game, so it looks kind of easy for me. But I'm constantly leveling up here. Still, even being maxed out and with these everything being so low level compared to what I am.
It's really cool. Just keep going.
And so let's see. The game difficult. I died a couple times. It wasn't like super difficult, but it wasn't super easy. It had a couple unique challenges, but it forces you to think things through.
I believe it has multiple difficulties also.
Oh.
There is a new game plus also. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's really cool, and it keeps. When I started up New Game Plus and just booted it up just to see what it was, and you keep everything you collected, you keep all the forms, you're at the quests that you're currently at, and stuff like that. It's just a matter of going through the dungeons again, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty dope.
I would definitely play a sequel. This was really fun, just long enough that. Like right at the end is when I started, I guess, being like, okay, I guess I'm done with this world. But like I said, I booted it up today and put 30 minutes in, easily trying to get this footage, and I was like, man, this is really fun. Overall impression, I'd probably say 8.89, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Dang, that's high.
Strong, huge.
That's
Strong.
right up there with.
And for
that's right
Chamale, who slits throats.
So
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
curious.
Charlie doesn't like kids.
I watched another review, and I'm curious what your feelings were about this. Someone, it was a Skill Up's review, said that it was kind of slow at the beginning and the end. Did you get that impression?
At the beginning, it was definitely slow. At the end, it kind of got a little grindy.
Okay.
So I guess it definitely slowed down. Like the middle is definitely the high point when you're constantly getting these forms and stuff. But like at the end, I kind of like was going through a couple dungeons. And I was like, okay, let's finish this off, type of thing. But it wasn't. It wasn't super. I wouldn't use it against it. Basically, I wouldn't say, oh my god, this game's horrible because of that. Because you're talking. It's a 10-hour game, so at the beginning you're talking an hour of pain, and at the end maybe the last hour is slow too.
Okay.
It's not that
it's
bad
not
in a
bad.
game like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, 8.89, that's a great score. It's
That is
powerful.
a really good score, yeah.
8.89.
Right
I think you
on.
meant 8 or 9, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll do 8.89. I like it.
I like it.
8.89. Fuck
So
it.
specific. You went to two decimal places.
I
Yeah.
like it. All right, let's switch
Deserve
on
it.
back and continue our discussion on the generations of gaming.
This is the
Boom.
one that raised me, I will say.
So,
Yeah.
Some controversy.
we've now we've gone through the first and second generation, which was like your Ataris and things like that. And actually, I don't know if I've shown this on the show
Second
yet.
Gen represent.
No, I bought an Odyssey, which was the first ever gaming console.
What? Where'd you get this?
I got it on an auction site for like $10.
Wow.
Insane.
I don't have anything to hook it up to, but this will be on a shelf like a museum piece.
Does it play
What
like?
even is this plug?
Does it just play Pong?
Yeah, well,
Does
no,
it-
that's a
What is
plug
that?
that you can make work.
No, I know.
This one like looks like, where the fuck is it? It's like a weird, almost like a. This is a long cable. Well, it has to be long because the controllers don't come off; they're attached to it. But
Horrible.
it's almost like a microphone, plug in or something like that. I have no idea what that would attach
so
to.
peculiar.
Honestly,
I bet you it doesn't exist anymore.
I don't think it exists.
Yeah.
Probably does not. You'd have to have someone make that for you.
Yeah, probably would.
I
but-
bet you though that there's someone that does sell them.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I'm sure.
there's
that-
a guy.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
It
another
is-
guy.
It is
Alright.
gaming history though, and it plays tennis, hockey, and what's the other one?
Basketball.
Yeah,
Badminton.
probably like
I don't know.
cricket.
Tennis,
and
hockey, and
badminton.
like other tennis, I think.
That's what I was about to say.
They're like
Tennis
ping
and
pong.
badminton.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. Anyway, it's cool, but so after that, we went through the third generation, which would be your Nintendo, the generation that saved gaming, right?
Yep.
And then we
Yep.
went to what I would consider probably the best generation, which is the 16-bit generation.
Yeah, agree.
And now we're on
Best ideas.
probably, Josh put it best before we got started, probably the biggest leap in
Yeah.
gaming generations, the dawn of the 3D consoles. This is the fifth generation of gaming, and we got some really cool things out of this, like some revolutionary stuff, but also some stuff that maybe didn't age quite as well as they
Agreed.
probably
Yeah.
would have
Well,
hoped.
This was the saga that aged the worst in some areas.
in
I'd
that
say.
in that like it is such a large leap. I think that it's accompanied by proportional growing pains.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, for sure.
Agreed. Yes.
For sure. So the generation started out with the Sega Saturn. This was released in 1995. This was the fifth generation console, and this console was rushed to market. It was supposed to release in, I believe, holiday season, but they put it out 4 months early because they saw what PlayStation was doing, they saw what Sony was doing, they saw what Nintendo was doing, and they panicked and they were like, let's just get it to market. Which costed them in the long run. We'll talk more about that in a minute. It was followed by Sony later that year with the PlayStation. And then once again, we have Nintendo a little late to the market with the N64 not releasing until 1996. A side note on that, they did
Not always
release
unintentional.
there was some actual development hell with the Nintendo 64 early on. I wish I took better notes on that, but in lieu of that delay for the 64, they released the Virtual Boy, which was a disaster as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Which kind of
Where did
sucks
that even
also
feel
because there's actually some good games on the
Yeah.
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, I will say-
you can't see them.
yeah, there are
Yeah.
there's I
Like
think
Wario
there's
Land
like
is great.
yeah, I think there's
Wario
like
Land, yes. So my roommate in college,
I think the
was
first
a
Shin
fanatic
Megami Tensei
collector.
game's on it too.
Oh wow.
We got a Virtual Boy for our dorm and
That one
like
too.
could not play very long
Yeah.
without hurting
Oh, yeah.
my eyes, honestly.
Yeah.
I was very sensitive to that. I was like, we should not be playing this. And
Yeah,
we
if I
stopped
got one of
after a
those, it
while.
would live on a shelf. Also,
Yeah.
that's a museum piece too.
Yeah, it's cool. My
That's a
friend
museum
has one
piece,
that's not
yeah.
working, but yeah, it's cool.
You
I'm
play
sure
it
you
like
could probably
once
get
a
it
year
fixed.
for 10 minutes. I'm sure it's fine.
It is a cool piece of history. I thought I'd mention it because technically we decided we were going to do handhelds separately, but this is kind of not really a handheld. It's kind of like a self-contained console that you have to
It's a
stick your
VR.
face in.
It's literally
And-
VR in 92.
And it's also I
94.
think it's valid because this is Nintendo's only 32-bit console. So
there's the 32 beats.
Yeah, so I think that's worth noting.
Oh, Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, you know what? But that's a handheld, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a fair point. So other 5th gen consoles that came out during this generation, you've got and pretty much all of these failed miserably. The probably the best, the most well noted would be the Neo Geo CD.
Remember that? Oh
yeah,
my god!
Which was cool. I think that was also
that's the most well noted. You think that's more well noted than the 3DO?
The 3DO sold like
I
know, but like
straight trash, and they also released with like such a high price. I think it was like $600 at launch.
I know it was
And that
ridiculous, but like. I feel like it's more famous than the GeoCD.
It's possible. So you got the Atari Jaguar, which was actually the first 64-bit console.
Yeah.
The Panasonic 3DO, which he mentioned. The Apple actually had a console called the Pippin.
Interesting.
It was so cool.
Yeah. You've
never
got the
seen one,
Neo
yeah.
Geo CD, the PCFX, and the Commodore Amiga CD32.
Wow, so many
I think there was one or two other ones, but they were so obscure I didn't even put them in. There was one marketed specifically to girls. I forget what it was called.
Okay.
But
What the fuck?
yeah, it's very
Girls don't
strange.
play games.
Oh, shit. Now we're canceled. But yeah, so just some strange stuff out there. But those are, I figured we'd throw them in there. We want to include every everything from the generation.
We want to throw them a little bone
Yeah.
because let's be real here.
Yeah.
This generation had the spotlight pretty heavily on one company.
Yeah. Well,
I think two, really.
yeah, one company,
and a half
and
company.
and you're gonna be
120.
disappointed when you hear which one it was.
Yes, I know.
But here's the thing: this was the generation where the focus was on 3D, which was the beginning of Sega's problems. Because the Sega Saturn was originally supposed to be a really powerful 2D console with 3D accents, and that's how they developed the console.
So games like
Whoopsies.
I can't think of anything for the Saturn offhand, but something like a
Guardian
Valkyrie
Heroes
Profile.
is one of the best examples. We should play Guardian Heroes on Brawler Brothers,
Okay.
because it is a freaking awesome.
Yeah,
brawler.
I mean, I'm looking here. You got X-Men versus Street Fighter. You got Shining Force 3. Panzer Dragoon obviously is
Nights into
Panzer is a
Dreams.
big one.
Bomberman. There's some really great games on this console, but they struggled, and for several reasons. Like I said, it wasn't really designed to be a 3D console, but kind of last minute they tried to push 3D by adding in an additional processor, the only console of this generation with more than one processor in it. But at the time, no one could really develop for multi-processor consoles. They didn't know what they were doing. If that console came out now, it would be great. But then they didn't really know how to do that. So third-party developers really struggled to develop for it. It was also, like I said, it was rushed to market with a fairly high price point. I think it released at around like $350, which
a lot of money
in
back then,
today's money would be around $600. So, it was pricey. It was rushed to market, which kind of screwed them over with their third-party developers as well, because all of the sudden they didn't have time to finish their games before the release. Let's see what else is valid. So that's kind of where we struggled with the Sega Saturn. While the Nintendo 64 was able to push more bits, it also had underpowered processor and RAM compared to the PlayStation and even the Saturn. The Saturn actually had expandable RAM, which the 64 did later. But from Jump Street, the Saturn had expandable RAM cartridges, which was pretty unique.
And yet there's no loading times on the N64.
That was the strength of the 64, but that came at the cost of being able to make bigger games and even like higher graphical fidelity. Like we were talking about it before the podcast, the PlayStation was able to push some beautiful games, especially like the racing games, and games like Vagrant Story and things like that, which, while it was a 32-bit console compared to a 64-bit console, it was actually able to produce.
Right, I mean, you think about Final Fantasy 8 and 9.
Oh,
also,
yeah.
like so some great looking games.
In addition to that, you could do full motion video because of the CD and things like that. So what it lacked for in load times, it made up for in a lot of other places. Yeah. Which I think is.
The comparison that I drew was between Twisted Metal, which is one of my all-time favorite games, and Extreme G, which are notably slightly different genres. Extreme G came out for the 64.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were oh, this is a really great game. Doesn't hold up at all.
Nope.
Visually. But Twisted Metal, I would still happily go back and watch those foolish ice cream vans with guns attached to them.
Yeah, I preferred Vigilante 8. There was a Star Wars one too.
Yeah, I forget what that was called. It was basically Vigilante 8 with Star Wars skins. We had that on Dreamcast.
Yeah, Dreamcast. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
I think it was on PS1 though.
What else before we get into breaking down our thoughts and opinions here? PlayStation was really easy to develop for, which quickly became a favorite for third-party developers.
Massive PlayStation support in that era.
Massive support. In fact, because of this, they got a lot of Nintendo's diehards. Right? They got Capcom. They got Squaresoft. Konami, yeah, like lots of really big like Nintendo loyal companies all of a sudden were like, wait, it's so much easier to develop for this console, and it's cheaper too. It was way cheaper to put games on a disc than it was on a cartridge.
And the fact that you could, the PlayStation could multi-read tracks or preload tracks. You could and Twisted Metal 3 notable for this. Rob Zombie did the soundtrack to Twisted Metal 3. And it was literally you bought Twisted Metal 3. You also, if you just put it in your Discman and pressed skip one track, you had a Rob Zombie record that you could listen to.
There was a lot of PC games in that era that did the same thing. Yeah. Descent did it. Lemmings did it. Yeah.
Dude, the Descent 2 soundtrack is so good.
It's really good.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's up there. I still listen to that time to time.
But yeah, that was another thing that PlayStation had going for it, is it was your first kind of like multi-faceted like entertainment system. You could play music discs on it, which was a big deal at the time.
That is true.
So if you look at the sales numbers for this generation, PlayStation won by a landslide with 102.49 million console sales compared to Nintendo 64 with 32.93 million, and then Saturn with a 9.26 million console sales.
That's funny because like Saturn or 64 sold 3 times what Saturn did, and PlayStation sold 3 times what Nintendo did. Like it's almost exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Isn't that weird?
There were at least two versions of the PS1.
Yeah. So you had the original kind of boxy one, and that was just called the PlayStation. And then they released that small one that was much more smooth surfaced, just called the PS1. And that was the one where you could get that flip top monitor on it, which was cool because it turned your PlayStation kind of into like a little portable almost.
Yeah. At the time, you needed to get one of, like, if you wanted to take it on a plane or anything, you needed to get one of those battery briefcases. Do you remember those? But
Luggable.
Yeah.
Was the first one that they called the Slim, or was that the PS2?
That was the 2. Was the
PS2
Slim.
was the first Slim. Yeah. So getting into some questions and just personal feelings and opinions about it. And we'll go through each of you guys. We'll start with you, Josh, since this is
Yes.
kind of your
My-
generation, you know. What was your first memory of a Gen 5 console? What console was it?
We all know what console it was. It was the N64.
Mhm.
My first game that I actually owned was Super Mario 64. And actually, my mom took me to Walmart for my birthday and said, Grandma gave us enough money for a game console or some shit. Pick which one. And she was like, the N64 is new, but we know you love the Super Nintendo. And I was like, So that was the first time I understood that like the new thing will probably have a lot more stuff coming out on it. And so
Yeah.
I decided to go with that, and we got Mario 64. And I had to buy the player's guide. We had to go back because I like could not figure it out for a week. And I was like, I need a fucking player's guide. I'm a 6-year-old or whatever. And that was it. Honestly, I was hooked.
Oh,
I got
yeah,
a Game
your
Boy
baby.
shortly after. I can't remember. I think I got a Game Boy after. I got
Yeah.
the 64. I'm pretty sure. And then Mario, just so iconic to this day. Nintendo, amazing. It just really solidified it with Zelda, and then all the others. You know, like this gen is just amazing. To me, I think these games hold up so fucking well.
Yeah.
And that each of these games also, this was the generation. So the greatest leap is what I mean by that is like each of these games left a massive like footprint as far as what they accomplished.
Mhm.
Mario in 3D. I'm sorry, but like that's one of the biggest. That's as big to this kind of gaming is as original Mario was to 2D gaming. It's like pretty intense, and then especially bringing Zelda and all that into this. Like we're just seeing what games are capable of. Star Fox 64. Like there's so many fucking incredible like experiences. I know PlayStation has a lot of shit and all that, but you know, I honestly don't think their games visually at least hold up as much.
I 100% disagree, and we'll get into
I
that.
honestly don't know why I think that. Maybe it's because I just like N64
Sure, yeah.
more.
Nostalgia is a powerful feeling.
Josh wanders through life with blinders on. That's fine.
Yes,
We just come to accept
exactly.
that.
Dude,
I
nostalgia is
hate how
a
GTA looks and
powerful
all that.
feeling, dude. It really
It's a powerful
is.
drug.
Zach, what about
Oh,
you, man?
yeah.
What was your first Gen 5 console experience? What console was it?
It was probably Nintendo 64
Mhm.
because I think my friend Nathan bought one.
Mhm.
But I don't remember that nearly as vividly as my first PlayStation experience
Yeah.
because it was either Christmas or a birthday, but my family gatherings happen so frequently that they all kind of run together at this point. But somehow or another, my cousin Sean got a PlayStation,
Mhm.
and I was super jealous.
Yeah.
Like because my parents were like, "No, you are not having a Nintendo. You are not having a PlayStation. That's not
Yeah.
allowed." Blah.
Our parents were
And-
similar at the time.
Right. And again, I've said this before. It's because I could play them at friends' houses, and that was fine. There's just not something we were going to spend hard-earned money on.
Mhm.
And we hung out in the functionally den area of my cousin's house and played Rayman, and actually that might have been it. It might have been just Rayman
Yeah.
for
Man,
hours on that PlayStation to the point where we wore out controllers.
Yeah.
I know now why, because that game is so broken. But yeah, I mean, just constantly playing it every time we were over at my aunt and uncle's house, and it stuck with me. You know, eventually my hands grew to the point where they were not comfortable on a PlayStation controller anymore, and PS5 is the first time they actually are again. But yeah, it's. I probably played 64 before that, but definitely the most notable was my first PlayStation experience.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Adam, what
Yeah.
about you, man? What was
So
your-
I actually have a very vivid memory of my first my first experience with
I
this
think we have
generation.
different ones.
I think we do too. I don't know, maybe, but Saturn was my first.
Saturn was my first too.
It was a Toys R Us with Virtua Fighter.
Okay, so
Was,
I think ours was a
Same
little
story.
different because I
Okay.
didn't actually play it.
Yeah.
But finish yours and I'll
that
tell
was it.
mine.
Like I remember like being on the Sega Genesis that had X-Men 2 in it. I was doing that. I was like, this is hard. And then next to it was the Saturn that had Virtua Fighter on it. I was like, what? This thing is in 3D?
Yeah.
What is that? What is this? Yeah, so that was my first exposure to this generation. Obviously we were a Nintendo house.
Yeah.
Which has a kind of funny story behind that too.
Yeah, we'll tell that
Yeah.
too. But so for me, it was also at Toys R Us.
Mhm.
I was there with Mom, and I think it was just the two of us because I don't remember anyone else being there for some reason. We might have been shopping for someone's birthday or something like that, right? And we're walking by like the video game aisle, and my mom's like, "Oh, Sega Saturn, like that's a new console," and I'm like, "What the fuck?
How do you know about it?"
My parents were so opposed to video
Mom
games.
was. Dad had video games before we were born,
but like she was very opposed to video games, and I felt like it was like, I don't know if she was trying to like gauge my reaction to be like, "Holy shit, Sega Saturn, I want it," or what, but I didn't know how to react. Like, you know, because like I said, she was so opposed to video games. I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, that's cool," you know. But the first Gen 5 console I probably played was, I think, at Pastor Rob's place, the PlayStation.
Oh no, PlayStation
before the 64 came out. You know, we played Oddworld.
Was that a Pastor Rob's?
Yeah,
I didn't think Oddworld was there. I thought that was somewhere else, but there was also Deception, I think is what it was called.
Okay.
Where you had this like set traps, and they were like really violent traps.
Oh yeah.
You remember that game?
Yeah.
That like you would have like a spring that's like launched people into spikes and stuff.
Yeah.
Ow, what the fuck?
Yeah, Pastor Rob.
Yeah.
Pastor Rob.
And then Resident Evil 2, I remember seeing there.
Oh yeah, Pastor.
But I think that was our
Resident
first
Evil.
exposure to it. Our first console that we owned, though, was the Nintendo 64, and that was
the first console we owned. Period.
No,
we had
Atari.
Atari, but like that was,
and we had Game Boys, but we kind of agree those don't count as consoles.
Right.
Handhelds are. But so again, our parents were kind of vehemently opposed to, well, specifically my mom having video games in the house.
And my grandma wanted to get us a console every single Christmas. She tried to do it since we were kids. She tried to get us
Nintendo,
NES,
Sega,
SNES, Sega Genesis. She tried to do it every year.
Nintendo stuff, but
Yeah.
But yeah, and so they had like refused my grandma the opportunity to buy us a Nintendo 64. And then we're hanging out with some family friends of ours
for Christmas.
Yeah. And they show up with none other than a Nintendo 64. And grandma was in town.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And she was so pissed.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. And they didn't clear it with my parents at all.
Yeah, they didn't ask. They just did it.
They just did it. Yeah.
We had a
Because
blast.
we would go over to their house and
Yeah.
play Mario Kart at their house.
You know what's funny is like, I don't, like at the time I was pretty unaware of the drama.
Yeah.
And we just like had a blast playing, Mario 64 and stuff like that, and like Mario Party or something
Mario
like that.
Kart.
With
It was Mario Kart was early.
oh yeah, Mario Party wasn't out that,
And then-
but with
and then, like-
with our cousins.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of good memories from that too. Like when there's a couple nights that we rented the Wayne Gretzky's hockey and played it with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And that was really fun.
Yeah, it was.
Some good times. But yeah, so she was furious, and my parents actually stopped being friends with them over that.
I think it was more complicated than that. There was some other stuff that Dad told me later on, but
Oh, okay. I'll let you
I think
comment on that later.
I think that was the beginning,
Okay.
of that avalanche. But yeah. Hey, Chamali, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to share your stuff?
Yeah. I remember, so I had the PlayStation was the first actually for me.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad drove home with it, and it was like a big surprise for me, and it was awesome. He had a whole bunch of games. The Resident Evil sticks out because I remember we didn't have a memory card, so I had to constantly do the same things over.
Oh, brutal.
Oh fuck.
That's rough.
I remember that first zombie that you see, and that scared the shit out of me for a while.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Gabe used to call those rubber pants games because you would want to.
They look so dumb now,
pants.
but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they were so scary then.
Yeah, because you'd be
Now-
shitting yourself.
I was scared of what?
How does rubber help?
Because you wear plastic pants when you shit yourself, it doesn't get the rest of your pants dirty. You
Wear
know?
a diaper. I get it.
This is Josh's Depends commercial.
Trust me.
so like Need for Speed, Rayman, Bugsby, Crash,
Yeah.
all these at one point. I remember my aunt gave us Final Fantasy VII.
Mm.
And again, I have a memory card, so I did the bombing run mission. God knows how many times.
Oh man,
just constantly doing that, fighting that
is so
scorpion.
rough.
Yeah, got the scorpion down again. Got to get out.
Nice.
Oh
guess
man,
you're really
and
good at it.
never get on with the story.
That's brutal, though.
God.
Here's the next question, guys. Have you played any other Gen 5 consoles? What were they? What were your impressions?
Oh yeah.
I've just played. I've played
we'll
the
start
three.
with-
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We can start with you.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear.
Pointing at.
I've played I've played the three main ones. I haven't played Saturn very much.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of PlayStation after the fact because we got a PlayStation. I think
Yeah, I got a
around when we
PlayStation.
got a Dreamcast.
Yeah, I got a PlayStation. Yeah, it was after the generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got I remember that like I had Final Fantasy VII on PC, but it would crash at the disc break every time. So I could only get to there. And so then like I played Final Fantasy VII on that's the first time I beat it on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was sharing time with the Dreamcast by the time we got it.
Yeah. Zach, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I've played the big three.
Yeah.
Again, Sega Saturn significantly less than the other two, but I've also briefly played the Apple Pippin. Actually,
Really?
Oh wow.
yes. So my uncle worked for Apple at the time.
Oh, sick.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he brought one to some family gathering or another, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But it did do something absolutely revolutionary for Apple in specific.
Well, it was a game console.
Sure, but it actually. I would credit a lot of the iOS appearance to the way that they made the Pippin like
Interesting.
launch screen.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I think I want to say I've played the Neo Geo CD also,
Okay.
but I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
you
I've
where.
played some very limited Neo Geo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, notably, obviously the big two, right?
Yeah.
So Nintendo,
The big one.
Yeah.
On
Josh,
my Zelda sheets.
did you have anything else on that, Zach? I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. That's good.
Yeah.
I was actually going to hand it off to Josh anyway.
There you go.
so-
Yeah, Josh, what about you? Like, I know we all know that you're
We
the
all know.
diehard Nintendo guy, but like, what other impressions did you have of other consoles
Yeah.
from this generation?
So,
Any positive experiences?
There were some. I will say I was a Nintendo fanboy from a young age
Yeah.
and heavily was under the impression that there were warring sides between Sony and Nintendo. I was like, you play PlayStation, you're a fucking moron. Obviously, Mario just took a shit on.
I was the same way. I was a
I
Nintendo
I remember
diehard.
having these conversations with Gabe back in the day because
Yeah.
he was a
Play Crash
PlayStation guy and we were
Bandicoot?
64
And I'm like,
guys.
oh, I didn't play Crash Bandicoot. I played Banjo Kazooie, the name brand version of your game.
Crash
Dude,
sucks.
So,
That's what I
did you know
felt
that
like.
Banjo Kazooie was originally supposed to be a top-down Zelda-like RPG? I found that out today when I was doing research. Banjo Kazooie, I forget the name of it, but it was like
I'd play
Project Legend
Dude,
or something
the
like
things that didn't come out of Rare
Yeah.
are like
Yeah.
shocking.
It was originally supposed to be not top down per se, kind of like isometric.
Wasn't the Tiger from Diddy Kong Racing was supposed to have a
Timber.
game too.
Yeah.
Timber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was supposed to get, yeah.
yeah.
I will
Continue.
say
Sorry.
this was the generation for me that, Rareware was like my favorite secondhand company or whatever, producer company for a really long time because of Super Nintendo, obviously Donkey Kong,
Mm-hmm.
and then just jettisoning tens like across the board on the N64. Like absolutely disgusting from Perfect Dark to Star Fox to honestly Donkey Kong 64 was good when you were a kid. Like everything was really good that Nintendo was pumping out, I thought. The Sony, however, okay, I played Final Fantasy VII after the fact when I was 23 years old. And so almost 10 years ago. Wow, I'm old. And I think that's the best game on
the youngest one
I
of us.
think that Final Fantasy VII, in that form, is the best game Sony has ever made.
I don't think that's true. Sony didn't
There's
make
some
it also.
really good bangers.
Yeah, I'll
But-
get to that in a second. I
Final
have like
Fantasy 7. And that's why I'm so retro. It's like I can't help
Yeah.
myself.
I love Final Fantasy 7, but I
I
disagree.
think it's a perfect fucking game. And I was shocked to find out Nintendo didn't make it. I was like, I played it on an emulator and I was like, this is a fun game.
Nintendo wanted to make it.
Yeah, Nintendo wanted to make
Yeah.
it.
They did.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like they clearly had ideas that were like brushing up against each other, but like they just didn't work out. Nintendo, I don't know if it's they're too stubborn. They want their own ideas. They're basically like a first party company, like in every name, shape, and form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want their ideas. They're not gonna let someone else put a different color on Mario. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna do all of it their way.
Except
Fire
Luigi.
you otherwise. Luigi is basically.
Wario.
But I did
And
play
he
the
had the
Saturn.
costumes in
well.
Odyssey.
Saturn is fun.
Waluigi.
Yeah. Okay. Shut the fuck up. Nintendo did that though. Not
Yeah.
wrong.
Just
All
joking.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
We saw Smash Bros. We saw like fighting games come into the 3D world. With Street Fighter and all that kinds of shit. So like everything was moving on up. Yeah. PlayStation. I hated it at the time, but then I understood it afterwards. And yeah. And then Saturn I thought was shit. I thought the Neo Geo was shit. I thought those were garbage poor people consoles. I'm not even judging you for being poor. I'm literally like these were.
Oh my
I
God.
realized that
Those
Thanks
are the
for
most
joining us
expensive
for the final
consoles, too.
episode of This Is
I realized
Difficult.
that Nintendo was like. I
Josh
thought
has
that was
canceled
one of
us
those things
twice tonight.
No, I did one.
I thought
Okay.
Nintendo
Yeah.
was super name brand, and I thought Sony was like name brand, but like still fell off brand to me. And then anything else, like Sega, I was like, they're just older. In my mind, I was like, they're just
Mhm.
not caught up.
Mhm.
And everything
Yeah.
else, I was like, off brand as fuck. Like, why even make games?
Sure,
You're not
sure.
even
Mhm.
close.
Sure. Chamali,
But
did,
that's my experience.
did you have any other experiences other than the PlayStation?
Yeah, I remember playing a ton of Mario Party on the
Yeah.
64.
Uh-huh.
But I never owned a 64 really, so it was
What?
constantly. I had played at a buddy's house. I played Paper Mario. I borrowed a 64 for a little bit to just play that game. But other than that,
Cool.
really,
Remember Blockbuster? You could just like go
Yeah.
walk there and just like pull out a game.
I know,
play
I
it for
miss
a little bit.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
you could rent consoles at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about our experiences with the other consoles. For me, like the biggest exposure that I had to PlayStation at the time was my best friend Gabe.
Mhm.
He was a huge PlayStation guy, huge like SquareSoft. Like I remember like going over to his house and he would always just like make us watch all the summons and cutscenes.
Yeah, cutscenes from the middle of games.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what's going on for like this like 70-hour RPG. This is a cutscene from hour 50.
Yeah, it was rad though. Yeah. And I really wasn't like, other than like my initial exposure to Sega Saturn, I wasn't really exposed to it very much during that time. I didn't discover my love for it until way later. And I do think it's an incredible console that, was kind of, I mean, in many ways ahead of its time. And it was just a really, and this became a trend for Sega, was, a victim of bad marketing and
I think I have some of your Saturn games and controllers.
gang. Well, send them my way.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have my Saturn.
I need
anymore,
to clean my garage out. So
shit, man.
I
If you
think it was
find
a
the
little
Saturn,
too early. Basically, we dropped too early. If
Yeah.
it came out like 95 or 6, I feel like it would have had a
well,
strong.
that was
I think so,
Sega's
too.
problem. Yeah, that was just Sega's problem.
yeah,
They
that was really.
Yeah, they jumped the gun a lot on their ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
They
were,
were trying
Um,
to stay so far ahead of the curve that they got ahead of themselves and just
Yeah.
Gotta go fast.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Just like Sonic.
No, I don't think so. All of my thoughts are on the next one.
Yeah.
Or the next
So,
question. So
well, you can start then.
Yeah.
What would you say is like your overall?
no, before that.
Oh yeah. Sorry, this is actually I jumped. I pulled
Yeah.
Sega.
Oh
I
my
jumped the
gosh.
gun. Oh my god. Oh, I Sega'd it. So what console / games do you think held up the best from this generation and why?
Yeah, so I
Go.
think that most 3D games did not hold up well of either of the two. I think that there are a few exceptions.
There's exceptions for sure.
Yeah, but
Mario
like,
64 is an exception.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I,
Impossible to not say Mario 64.
Not visually though.
well, I
Here,
think
I'm
that
not
like
even so sure about
I think
that.
more simple stylized things held up better. Like Tetrasphere, still just as fun now as it was then.
That game's awesome.
Tetrasphere, I forgot about that game.
But
so
like
fun.
the things that really stick with me that I actually will revisit are like kind of the hybrid games. So you think of like Mischief Makers.
That's a good one.
Was really good
Yeah.
and utilized the hardware very well.
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night was my next one. Yeah.
Mario Party's held out.
Mario
Party
Party
is
actually
good.
doesn't require any graphical.
Star Fox, because like Star Fox utilized the hardware probably better than anything on
Star Fox is
64.
Well,
flawless.
pre expansion pack for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like it was like the economy of scale on it was just really good. They just like we know what we're capable of, and we can use 100% of that.
Yeah.
And I think that they did really well with that.
I agree.
But I think that the ones that really stand out are the 2D ones still, because I don't feel that 3D was there yet.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of situations like Crash. I don't think it holds up. I don't think that
Spyro.
Spyro. No, I'm playing the Reignited, and it's a lot better.
That's great.
But like, oh yeah, that's another one I've been playing.
I even think Zelda looks like shit.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best games ever made, but I think it looks like dog shit.
It actually like it is pretty rough. The Harvest Moon is not good in that generation because like
You know what
it's
movie
also
holds
the
up-
B
or
team.
game-
But
You know what game holds up the best is Paper Mario.
Paper Mario is one of those ones that it's like really stylized, and that's the trick. That's always the trick with
Yeah.
graphical limitation.
Good at that.
If you can't make something look perfect, make it look unique.
I think this was Nintendo's biggest weakness this generation, though, because Nintendo was the ones that were really, really trying to focus on almost everything 3D.
Yeah.
We've named probably all of the games for 64 that have that good stylized, things.
I'll say
Yoshi's-
Jet Force
Yoshi's
Gemini
Story.
holds up pretty well.
No, it does not.
I think-
No, the controls don't.
Oh really? I think
But that was also an expansion pack
Yoshi's
game
Story.
too.
Yoshi's Story
Yoshi,
holds up.
yeah,
very
another
well.
2D. So
So
Another
That's-
2D holds up really fucking
Yeah.
well. Actually, Donkey Kong 64 looks kind of good, actually.
Another expansion pack
It's an
game.
expansion pack, exactly.
but like then
And actually, Jet
also
Force was
on
also expansion.
also on PlayStation, I think the ones that hold up are I think that all the Final Fantasies hold up pretty well. The later ones I think look better.
Final Fantasy VII does not look great.
It has
Eight
not
looks
aged well.
okay.
9
Seven does
in that
not.
regard.
7 looks worse than the N64, I think.
8 and
Yeah.
9 look fantastic.
So
Eight looks
7
good.
is weird because the in battle animations look really nice.
Yeah,
And
why do they do
models
that?
but like the overworld blocking
You're like a
stuff is.
chibi. You're
Yeah.
a chibi.
But like
cloud,
the
and then you're,
Suikoden
like,
games
badass
look
cloud.
amazing still.
Yeah.
Any of those like any sprite stuff on any of that like has really done well.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
And
Great.
I think that was kind of the key is going like I appreciate that some people are really pushing this hardware. We need to get there. Like, and then by the next gen, everyone was there. But like, I think that everyone kind of went too hard in that era.
all of like the tactics games like Final Fantasy Tactics and Suikoden games.
Yeah.
they-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics is great.
Chamali,
So,
what about you? How do you feel on that? That same
I
question.
have to echo most of what Adam has to say.
Mhm.
I don't think that like Super Mario holds up at all.
Wow.
I did-
Wow.
Hot take.
wow.
I think it's a respectable game. I think it really revolutionized a lot of things. It's the same with Ocarina of Time and
Undeniable.
So-
Mask. Like
Something real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like I think that those games also suffer from not having the Nintendo 64 controller, which was only 8 axes.
Yeah.
It was not true analog.
True as well, actually.
And so like if you play it with a true analog stick, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I don't think. So
No, I agree.
like on the Switch.
mhm,
Yeah.
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 That's
Zach,
actually true. Yeah, very interesting.
what do you feel holds up the best?
I think what really stands out in my mind is the fact that the games that we remember the most vividly are the ones that have been remastered.
Uh-huh.
So Mario 64, both Zeldas, we've played them on better, or we've played better versions of them.
Yeah.
Regrettably, like I I don't like what they did with Majora on the 3DS.
There was a lot of cutbacks. Yeah.
I really like it, but
they cut back on some
there's
difficulty. I feel like
comparison. Like
I feel like it's arbitrary difficulty though. But whatever.
Well, there's some like control problems too,
and then there's some curl issues with the DQ scrub.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some other things.
But yeah, it's all the ones that we remember are the ones that have been remastered, and that means that
we like some of the best games.
Sure, but the ones that have staying power are things like Twisted Metal that have never been touched and were good then and are still good now.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I see. You think they assume do you think they think they're bad, so they're remastering them?
Well,
no,
not bad, but
they can improve and they like that's a good goal. We should always be striving for improvement. That's a fundamental teacher thing that I that's in the back of my mind all the time. But it's there's a number of PlayStation games that have never been touched, will never be touched,
and they look and feel great still.
Look and feel awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Josh, let's hear it, man. We all know what you're going to say, but I want to hear
it. I think that the biggest give for what was the exact question again?
The exact question is, from this generation, what consoles or games do you think held up the best?
I mean, I think it's fair to say at this point that we agree that there's a good amount that holds up on both.
Yeah, on all the consoles.
Yes, I will agree that a lot of this has longevity, and here's what this generation I think overall actually like really had the staying power of is like the impact of the stories and that upscale of like the scale, I guess, like just like making everything larger. Like Super Mario 64 stuck with us because it's just such a big game, and like for the time, this game is insane. Like this is big.
That's true.
Ocarina of Time, insane story, incredible. Like we've never seen anything like this before. That's just sticks with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they really went there on a lot of things. Like even the PlayStation, they just like with Final Fantasy, like finally coming into this amazing like it's like really a series now. Like holy shit. All of these things were just massively impactful to where like the Super Nintendo and the generation previous just couldn't quite portray. Like sure, I cried while playing Illusion of Gaia, but like you'll bawl playing some of these games. You know, these just have that much more connection.
Yeah, when Aeris dies.
Real. Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, I was really sad. I don't think I cried when she died, but that game, like, it blew my mind. But overall, yeah, just so many like lasting moments that were not as well portrayed before. And this was just like the start of that like movie generation of gaming, where like games can be movies. And then, you know, the next one we kind of see it revamp. It really kicks into its stride in the PlayStation 3 era, I think, is when like things look like they're supposed to look. And that's when they're really doing the movie shit. But like here is when
a little too much. We'll get to that when we go to that gen. Yeah.
But like here it was like tell an epic tale and like people will really love it like a movie or a book. Like Ocarina of Time is the game for me. Super Mario 64 to another extent because it's my first game. Ocarina of Time, it just is so impactful. I feel that story every time I play it. It might be why the game is untouchable for me. I still feel like the N64 version looks gorgeous,
and I share that nostalgia with you too. Yeah. Like those are still like even if they're not the best games, like they're real close to my heart.
Yeah,
exactly.
So for me,
that's it for me.
Yeah. So I think there's an argument to be made for the Sega Saturn, and not because it was the best at the time. And it may not even be the best now, but like going back and seeing some of what they did on that console is incredible. And for something that was overlooked by almost an entire generation of gamers, you know, there's some really, really beautiful and fun games on that console. And I think everyone should, if they have the chance, go back and check that out. When it comes to just pure numbers, I think the PlayStation wins out on this with regard to staying power.
Quantity of games is also a thing. They
Sure,
just machine gunned it out,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
But
they had like every third-party studio working
Every
nonstop.
yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was producing.
But I do
it,
think the
yeah.
argument could be made. You might not win that argument, but I think it could be made for the Sega Saturn. But ultimately, I agree with what Adam said about aesthetics, which is why I think Sega
Stylized.
Saturn and PlayStation hold up so well. And 64, while it's got some great games and we have great nostalgia for it, I don't feel like the games hold up quite as well. They're still great, but they just don't have the staying power that some of these other games from other consoles had.
I actually, I think that another big exception for Nintendo is Mario Kart 64. I think is virtually flawless.
Looks
I think that
really
game
good.
that's my favorite Mario Kart game.
It
period.
probably still, yeah.
It's- yeah.
I will say the most untouchable game is probably Star Fox.
Probably.
If I had
That
to be
game's-
impartial,
oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
in every sense of the word untouchable is completely held up to
Yep.
this day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
So fucking insane.
Sound, visuals,
Sound,
gameplay,
control, yeah.
control.
For the
Yeah, it's-
analog being what it was, like you said, like
Yeah.
absolutely unnoticeable. Like it's so fucking good.
The other argument that I will make for Nintendo is the 4 controller ports.
Mhm.
It was the first
That was
console to
real-
do it.
real
Other
big
consoles
deal.
did multi-taps and stuff, but this came packaged. This
I
was the party
forgot,
console,
yeah.
right? This is the one that you brought to your sleepovers and this
Yep.
and that because
Yep.
you could play with everyone,
Literally.
Mhm.
you know.
Mario Party.
So I do think
Kart.
that they
those were the
really
defining experiences. of the
really
generation.
invigorated
Yeah,
couch gaming
seriously.
at that time. In fact, probably
co-op.
my
Dang, actually.
best memories of couch gaming with my friends are on the 64.
I wonder
I would
if
agree.
that inadvertently this is just weird speculation, but I wonder if that inadvertently had a negative effect on the sales, because I remember in those
I see what you're getting
in
at.
those days that it was like if one person had one, everyone
Yeah.
was just like bringing it over to each of the houses.
yeah.
Because it was like
Yeah,
My mom got
before
me
we
4
got one,
controllers,
Grayson would
yeah.
bring his over,
right,
and
yeah,
that was the
but
first
like
time
that
I
was
played
the
Star Fox.
go-to. It was the thing with the
Yeah.
4 controllers.
Yeah.
It was like what we could all play at once.
Yeah,
So-
I think Nintendo will always suffer from losing sales from accommodating cooperative play and family style play. I think that might actually be a casualty of like.
I think the Switch mitigated that,
MO.
because I think
It
that
does, but
like,
they still
quite
have
a
like
bit.
the whole pull your Joy-Con off and like hand it to the guy across
Yeah.
from the thing.
Yeah.
Instead of him pull out his own Switch. But like I agree that is mitigating it by it being like your own console at the same
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's the final question that we ask about every
Zelda.
console.
Oh.
Get out of here. Overall influence of this generation.
Mhm.
Let's start with Zach.
Okay, I'm going to take this off in a completely left field direction.
I like
I'm gonna
that.
say iOS is one of the main things that came out of this generation.
Okay.
Because of the Apple Pippin, yes, it did not succeed as a console, but they actually had to, based on the hardware, they had to rewrite the operating system. It was just like anything that Mac has ever done,
Very
or
wild.
Apple has ever done, based on their existing Mac OS software. It was 7.5.2 at the time, and they had to install what they called Pippin Finder over the top of it that looked distressingly similar to OS X.
That's interesting.
Or to iOS rather. It was they did away with the folders and stuff that Mac users were used to, and they put little blocks that were your launch points.
Oh boy, I'm looking at a picture of this
Sure,
thing
yeah.
right now. That's a rough controller.
A boomerang looking thing.
Very rough controller. It's a very dumb looking controller. But Pippin Launch, I mean, in many ways, paved the way for what we know and love for iOS.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
Apple being one of if not the top phone OS in the world.
I would wager it is.
I would imagine it is.
Well, I think there's technically more Android out there than there is iPhone, but
But they have
maybe.
like more
It's one of
individual
two, right?
company
Sure.
market
Yeah.
share, maybe.
Yeah. And so I think personally Pippin had a much bigger influence than we would tend to give it credit for.
That's an interesting take. I like it.
Interesting.
That is my hot take, my sort of less, I guess, lukewarm take. Just the advent of 3D,
Sure.
but also giving that built-in multi-tap.
Yeah.
And allowing for couch co-op and couch versus.
Right. Yeah.
Which has become the standard pretty much.
Exactly. The best memory that I have attached to any one of those consoles involves, I mean, GoldenEye, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
A game that aged like a
Crap.
banana.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Milk. Yeah.
cheese.
But like those are, I'm probably put more multiplayer hours into GoldenEye than almost anything though.
Yeah.
Right.
Played a lot of that. I was
Wayne
even a fan of that
Gretzky's
game. I
3D
played a lot
Hockey
of that.
98, we played a lot of.
Oh yeah, we did
Yep.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
The original Smash. The original Smash.
Original Smash, baby. That is coming to the Switch
No,
online.
I'm so excited.
Wow.
That's going to be extraordinary online. Oh my god.
We complain constantly about the newer versions of Smash, even the second version of Smash, just being too big for its britches.
I agree. Like the original Smash is the only one I can really tolerate because there's so much less chaos. There's too much
I like
chaos.
the chaos.
in-
I like the
yeah.
I don't like it.
I like all
get
the items
distracted.
I like
on.
the
I
new
like the
and
stage transitions. I like everything.
I like.
I hate
I
that.
agree with Adam that I love the flashy, shiny, but I also love
Yeah.
the old school, like slow and methodical.
That-
I will say, I think
that
this is going
Voltorb
when
coming
Smash
out and
comes
killing
it's
everybody.
Gonna like skyrocket their online sales. I
Yeah.
bet.
Josh,
I
what
wouldn't
do you
say
think
it's
about the
though.
overall influence of this generation?
The overall influence of this generation was what the primary and like secondary, I think, was grand scale, like imagination unleashed. Basically, you can show anything now.
Yeah.
3D allowed for anything visually to be on the screen to an extent, barring some graphical holdbacks.
Mhm.
But anything was now possible in this generation. Again, barring rough lookingness.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was fucking crazy. And then the secondary would be, I think, 4-player couch co-op. I think that's like Nintendo did it again. Now that you mention it, if they had one massive success, it was the advent of everyone playing together and them solidifying themselves as a family console, like
Yeah.
completely. And
Yeah.
like other consoles seeing that and being like, oh fuck, like a lot of their games are multiplayer and they're probably selling like a shit ton of like stuff just because people want to play with their friends. Like it's just an easy concept to grasp.
Absolutely.
Like board games were still big and all that, so and they
Mhm.
still are, but like home games were still so massive that like the idea of playing a video game with your family and friends didn't make it seem so foreign at all.
Yeah.
So that might even be the first, like honestly, of the generation, just like bringing them together. But anyway.
Jamali, what are your thoughts?
Bear with me for a sec because I'm going to say the PlayStation was probably the most influential here. And for two reasons. 2 joysticks on a controller.
Yeah.
That was big.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was very big
And that was later in because it didn't release with the
with the DualShock.
DualShock.
Nintendo fumbled a little on their controller and
The
is arguably
Nintendo's
one of the
controllers
worst.
so fucking bad.
I admit, as a massive Nintendo fan, and that being my first console, I think the N64 controller is one of the worst controllers in gaming.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it was something that you got used to very quickly.
You got
but
used
like,
to it, but you're
yeah.
holding 2/3 of your controller
right?
still not even
And at a given, unless you're playing
Yeah.
Shadows of the Empire, where you're like trying to do the code,
Yeah.
and like, yeah,
Oh. And then Kirby came out and it was like D-pad, and I was like, what? I was like, why did
yeah,
they do
touch the
these
screen was
things?
D-pad
Yeah.
too.
Try
Kirby
playing
holds
Dark
up also.
a 64 controller.
Oh god, that sounds terrible. Yeah, because he's the D-pad. So they thought it over, but
Yeah.
they
But yeah,
fixed it.
so I think PlayStation just putting those 2 joysticks on that controller, just every controller now has 2 joysticks.
I'd agree. That's their big,
Yeah, that's
their
a big
thing
one.
was the controller archetype.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And like, I mean, even nowadays, like every controller just basically follows that format, whether the joysticks are next to each other or like the Microsoft swapped. But
I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I like that one better. But
I
So
will say
uncomfortable to me.
the original look, I feel like the Super Nintendo controller, like that style Like they basically turned into a 3D model of a Sony, like the PlayStation, then added a joystick here.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that idea.
They just like
started with
extruded
that.
the bottom and then
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Sony was like, okay, that's genius. Let's fucking put a joystick.
Right.
Here.
I mean, and that led to functionally the best controller ever, was the PS5 one. But
I think it's the GameCube.
so I think that oh my god, go to
I
hell.
honestly think it has the best.
Go to
controller.
bed,
with,
dude.
with the big idiot button.
I love it.
You
I
like
think
that?
it feels so good for Smash.
It's
I've been playing
oh my
that
god,
for
it is
20
the
years.
worst for fighters.
Yeah.
It's so bad for fighting games.
I love the game. It just feels perfect in my hand. I can't explain it.
I'll agree with Josh. I really like the GameCube.
Yes,
I do too.
So like I agree with you on some of that because like
it feels good in your hand, but as far as like button placement and stuff,
It's like, what are you
it's
doing?
whack. And the
Yeah.
tiny D-pad, it's like this big.
well, and also the controls don't translate to emulation at all.
Right.
Because
I
like
agree.
they're
Yeah.
in the
C-stick.
stupid C stick and like
That's
oh,
a big
God.
one for when me and Colin are playing. Actually, any GameCube game, it's really fucking
Yeah.
fun.
So the big takeaway for me is I agree with all the things you said about the influence.
Yeah.
A huge thing I think is that it cemented Nintendo as a first party.
Yes.
They
game
had to. They
person.
had to.
Right. Because like before that, you think of the like who had the best third party support of anyone? The
Nintendo.
The Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It was just stellar. They had games from
Insane.
everybody. It was the best. They cut that off at the legs for better or worse. And since then, they have been the kings of first party gaming.
Kings.
And they have been completely uncontested in making perfect experiences for their consoles.
Yeah.
God, it feels
So-
good to hear someone else explain Nintendo like this.
Yeah, and I don't think that necessarily means that they're the best consoles, but I do think that they steered really hard with the 64 into going, what is the best experience for what we're making?
The experiences they deliver are perfect for what they're describing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They put a bow on that shit and manicure it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's like
like,
one of those crazy fondant cake versus like just a regular ass birthday cake.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, but like, which
PlayStation.
one tastes better? Though?
What was
Well, you
that, Zach?
always have to. Okay, that's okay. He said
well,
which
yeah,
one
don't
tastes
use
better.
don't use fondant. It's gross.
Fair enough. You got me there.
So, I mean, you guys all summed it up really well. I don't know that there's a whole lot more that I could add to that. When I think about it, what was the biggest impact of this generation? You know, I think Josh nailed it with like the whole like being able to create anything, right?
Anything
Like
now, yeah.
yeah, like before you had like a flat painting and you had to work with that, you know? And now
with
you
few
have
exceptions because Star
Sure.
Fox you had on
Yeah.
there,
Sure,
you had a few
sure.
others.
but and now you have a world, right?
Mhm.
Like it's no
You
longer
can walk.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
Walk around. Like what?
Yeah. So it went from being, you know, like almost like a book to like an environment, you know, which is I think absolutely huge. Now there was obviously I think a lot of growing pains with this. I don't even really think that they mastered 3D until maybe 2 generations later.
PS3 gen. Yeah.
But
You
but,
think of like the invisible walls,
sure.
and like the
yeah, invisible
Yeah.
walls.
But it was definitely like just think about like camera technology, right? People
Yeah.
didn't understand how to do cameras in games at that time. And there's some really bad examples in some games. There's some really good examples in some games. Like I think that Mario 64 did the camera really well for the time, and I think Zelda did as well. But there's a lot of other 3D games that really shit the bed with their camera.
Oh yeah, that was a bad camera era.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the
you
camera
know,
is an interesting concept too that came about. Like creators are just like, oh, we have to fucking affix.
yeah.
the
Well,
view
and
for
Mario in
people.
particular had a very interesting solution in that they made it a physical object.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
you
I
can-
liked that. Yeah.
I don't know that it's the best solution, but it's interesting. And like you run into some little logistic things, but you're functionally controlling another character by controlling the
Exactly.
camera.
Yeah.
It makes it
That's-
seem less alienating for the
Yeah.
first time you do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which was what it was trying to do. Yeah.
I think that's all I got, man. And you guys all really summed it up very well. And so that's that. This is, I think, obviously a pivotal generation. I think that there's like a lot that was lost in gaming due to 3D because like everyone was trying to make these 3D games. Like, you know, if we can make a game look good, we don't have to, you know, focus on story or gameplay or things like that. You know, that's definitely where that started.
I think also that like it's really interesting because the ratio of gaming impact to quality of game is really off in this generation. So like you think about the SNES and like it didn't have nearly as big. It was mostly a graphical upgrade and some capabilities. You could make bigger games, etc.
Bigger games. Yeah. I mentioned this in our last episode. I think that generation showed us that we could have big epic stories.
Right. But with this generation, it is such a much bigger leap than has ever happened, I think.
Yeah,
but
I think
as a result, like the number of excellent games in this generation is very small. Proportionally.
Proportionally, I might agree. Yeah, I'd say so. There's like maybe 50.
Because like nobody knew how to do anything with this stuff.
Yeah.
It was completely unknown territory. Yeah. You get like the worst Mortal Kombat games. You get like the 3D. Like Virtua Fighter was not good to me.
No, but that revolutionized
Tekken. I didn't
fighters.
like, but yeah,
like their first ever 3D fighter.
Yeah,
you know, revolutionized that.
Mortal Kombat 3 was really good.
That was SNES era. That was on the SNES.
Yeah.
3 Ultimate?
Yes.
Yep.
Not Ultimate. 3 Ultimate was on 64 and PlayStation.
Yeah, but that was a port, basically.
But 3 first came out on Sega.
Why did they just say 4?
Yeah. 4 was garbage. No one liked
4.
But yeah. Anyone else have any closing thoughts?
The worst license games ever.
A picture of the
Apple thing.
Home screen for Pippin.
Zach's a spokesperson for Apple.
The home screen for Pippin. We could switch over if we want to show that on a screen. We could switch over to the.
But join our Discord.
Join the Discord. That moral of the story. Join the Discord.
That is.
Yeah. Here, you know, I'll real quick switch over to the review screen so you guys can see this. Oh shit! What the hell happened to Discord?
Oh, we're just gonna break the whole podcast right at the end of a 2-hour podcast.
Discord just like crashed.
To bed. Yeah.
Let's just forget it. It's getting too hard.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Footage.
Yeah.
Screw it. Forget it. Just join the Discord. Anyway, so that wraps it up, guys. If you're watching this show on the live
2 hours
episode, you're watching. Yeah, this was a long one. This was fun though.
It's the longest episode, I think.
If you're watching us live, you're watching it on my Twitch channel. I stream on. I'm trying to get more consistent back into the swing of things, but my regular streaming hours would be on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. On Tuesdays, I always play whatever I'm reviewing, essentially, whatever my main game is. Thursdays will either be Brawler Bros or my review game or some other variation like Souls. We play Dark Souls games. We call it Souls Mates. Kind of funny. Nice. And then Saturdays, on Saturday mornings, I always stream a Samurai game because it's Samurai Saturday. So that's a lot of fun. That's what I do. And then we're always here on Sunday nights for the podcast. If you want to yell at me on Twitter, you can. It's at Ryugami-sama. Whatever. If you're watching this on YouTube, please share it. That's the most important thing to us. And then, yeah.
Comment, like, subscribe, smash the buttons.
Yeah. Patreon.
Yeah, we totally have that.
We don't. Josh, where can we find you, man?
You could find me at Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV and all my shit, which is like literally just Instagram, I think now. I don't even know what I have anymore. Watch me get the first place world record in Donkey Kong.
Hell yeah.
You gonna do it? Yeah. You got this.
Really excited. They actually announced that. Well, now they didn't announce it, but someone grabbed the specs and there's a Donkey Kong game that's in 3D that might be a 2D Donkey Kong game, but it's being developed by. Fuck, I cannot remember now. You guys would remember it. Anyway, I'll get that.
Cool. That is exciting though.
Yeah.
It's a big company, and you'd be like, "What? They're doing Donkey Kong?"
Excellent.
Anyway,
Zach,
I forgot what I was saying.
where can we find you?
I'm on Twitch at Another Letdown. I'll be a lot.
I know we're losing it.
I'll be live on Wednesday night with my buddy Alex playing Gears Tactics at 7 Eastern. We go for about 2 hours. And then Friday, we've got Tabletop Simulator cooperative board games, usually Arkham Horror Files or related. And then Saturday, Adam and I are going to be painting minis.
Nice.
That is the plan.
Yeah.
Adam, where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at GTG Adam. It's my name after GTG.
That's easy.
And then on Twitch at Comics and Coffee. And that is
Cool.
And I stream art most of the time when I stream. I have been out of it for a little while because of illness, but I'm going to get back to it. And I'm going to try and get back on my Zelda series too.
Sweet.
So,
Very cool.
yeah.
Jamali, do you want to shout anything out?
I really haven't streamed in a long time, so
It's okay.
find me on the Discords.
There you
Oh,
go.
Yeah.
Discords.
Just mention his name.
Very
He'll
cool.
appear.
Yep.
And just so anyone knows, Jamali's our sometimes producer, and he's a great dude. It's got a lot of hot takes, so he's fun to chat with
That's true.
on Discord.
It's the hottest takes of all.
Yeah, the disembodied voice. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Bye.
We'll go.